Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd, I'll love it. Todd, I'll love it.
Todd and Craig, good to hear you guys.
Todd, I'll love it.
This is Attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Honestly, you could not be any more spot on.
Now, from the Black Diamond Group mothership in the studios of 98.5 UPS, the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine, people tell me there ain't no use in trying. Now, my girl, you're so young and pretty, and one thing I know is true: you'll be dead before your time is due. I know. Watch my daddy in bed and crying. Watch his hand been turning gray. He's been working and slaving his life away. Oh yes, I know. He's been working so hard. Mom been working too, baby. Every night and day. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, Attorney Todd L. Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting and YouTubing, trying to be an influencer, not, and a Black Diamond Group mothership in the middle of the mitten in a beautiful green nutrient field, folks, with my good friend. You know him, you love him, don't call him Mando. He is not dating Taylor Swift. No worries there. He's currently applying for a job to go on tour with Madonna. Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, the gassiest dank-to-dank human I know. Craig, the water is wet, the sky is blue. We are pre-recording this show at Timber Ridge Resort, but we love you. How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
Craig, I'm doing great. As I said, we're pre-recording the show. I'm at Timber Ridge. My good friend Gordon owns Timber Ridge.
Yeah.
And he's got Miranda and Ella and Jenna and such a great staff of people working here. Timber Ridge Resort, Traverse City, Michigan, right off Hammond Road East, folks. If you're listening to the show and you're looking for a place to camp, RV, tent, I mean, it's amazing, the amenities here at Timber Ridge Resort.
Yes, Timber Ridge, fantastic place. You're getting ready to, of course, by the time this airs, the Iceman will have already happened, but you're getting ready for the Iceman, correct?
That is correct. I'm waiting for Chucky and Shafe to come up from Ohio, and we're going to do pre-ride. 30,000 people will be descending upon Timber Ridge Resort. We started in Kalkaska at the airport and head through the backcountry, God's country, ending up at Timber Ridge Resort. But Craig, enough of that. We opened up the show today with one of my all-time favorites. That song came out in 1965, or the year I was born, sometime around there. We got to get out of this place. I love the Animals.
But the Animals, yeah. You said you didn't realize how big the Animals were. The Animals were a really big band back in the 60s.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I know. But they had lots of hits. They had lots of hits, and kind of like another band, the Beatles, who released a song this week. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard that. That's crazy.
Did you like it?
No, I don't. I didn't listen to it.
I know you don't really care about the Beatles. I know you're not a big Beatles fan, but it is nuts that they're releasing music. It was all right.
Yeah.
Know.
I mean, I like a lot of music from the 60s. We've been playing a lot of it. The Doors, The Who.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Simon and Garfunkel, The Animals.
Yep.
So much of that. But, Craig, I want to dedicate this show to the memory of a very dear friend, family friend, She was a mother, a grandmother, a wife, and that would be Dawn Tice.
Okay.
We lost Dawn way too early, and I have permission from her family, her son Josh, to dedicate this show to the memory, which I have great memories of Dawn. She worked at Levitt Law Firm for a number of years before she left to go work as a clerk at the 76th District Court here in Isabella County, and just very sad.
Great
so
lady. Great lady.
Great lady. She loved to boat. Her and her husband loved to go boating. I mean, Dawn did so much for so many, and it's hard. I mean, we've all lost somebody, and we will all lose somebody, but it's never easy. And I just wanted to dedicate the show to Dawn's memory. She was such a great lady. So
especially people we lose too soon. It's one thing if you tell me
unexpectedly.
Yeah,
too soon.
If you tell me somebody lived to be 95, they had a good long life. Nothing really to complain about. When you say somebody dies at 53, that's too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, Dawn was great. I mean, she when she worked at Levitt Law Firm, outstanding. Clients loved her. At the courthouse in Isabella County, always went out of her way at window 3 to make sure that individuals coming to that courthouse knew where to go, what to do, what happened next. But she was just such a great friend from Bearton, Michigan, and she left behind kids, grandkids, a husband, just a great lady. So I just wanted to send our love and thoughts out to her family. We'll always keep Dawn in our memories and thoughts and prayers. She was a great lady.
And it's always it's also good. It's also good that we can sit back and remember all the good times that we had with her and the lives that she touched. Not trying to dwell on the bad part of it. Obviously, passing away is a bad thing, but we were all luckier to know her and to be a part of her life and her a part of our lives.
Right, absolutely. And I was in the this past week, which is still the week because we're pre-recording the show. I was in Wexford County, Cadillac, Michigan, in front of the Honorable Audrey Van Alst, Judge Van Alst. Great, great judge. Her brother's a judge, a circuit court judge there, I believe. And I apologize for not knowing more about that. Each and every time I go to court, I always go see the Honorable Van Alst. Such a great lady, great staff. She's got Danielle, Selena, Deputy Longstreet. She's got this great deputy who always keeps us safe when we go to that courthouse.
Okay.
He does such a great job, as does the Wexford County Sheriff's Department. But his last name is Longstreet. That's just a badass name, Longstreet.
It really is.
It was a general in the Civil War, right?
Oh, maybe. Sounds good.
But the great thing about Judge Van Alst is similar, if not equal, to Judge Dan Bain.
Oh, okay.
The great thing about Judge Van Alst is she's from the community. She lives there. She's been there, raised there, family's there. She knows the people. She knows the personality of the community. I mean, she practiced law in the community prior to becoming a judge. She's now going on her 11th year on the bench, which we really appreciate. And so that's what's so great about her. Very compassionate, very caring, great sense of humor. You definitely know when you're before her as a judge, she's going to be very fair. Whether you like the outcome or not, she's going to be fair. And that's what I love about Judge Van Alst, but especially her sense of humor, great sense of humor, and very approachable, very approachable. A lot of judges get robe syndrome, Craig.
Right.
Robe syndrome is when they get that robe.
Yep.
You can't talk to them. They become somebody else, and she's not that person. She's great. And then she has Danielle and Selena who work right next to her. They need their own show on YouTube like the Kardashians. I'm just telling you, Danielle, Selena, unbelievable job they do there. I mean, they do it with such enthusiasm, and they work smart, just like Levitt Law Firm. They don't work hard, they work smart. And such a great court to practice in. And then, Deputy Longstreet. What can you say about Deputy Longstreet? I mean, just a great man.
You know what? Here's the thing. You always talk about we need to have these judges on, and we have, we've had Judge Danny Bain on and people like that. We should have a couple of clerks on sometime, because I'm sure that they could tell an interesting story or two and have a unique perspective on what happens in court. Yeah,
that's a great idea. Maybe we can get the ladies on from Judge Van Al's courtroom. I'll see if we can get permission to do so. I might have to file a motion for permission. I'm not quite sure, Craig.
Well, that's what you do.
Yeah. Great court is what I do. But big shout to the judge. I believe, the judge and her staff are listening to this episode. So we should definitely dedicate a song to him, Craig.
Okay, what song would that be?
Well, I don't know how it fits, talking about a judge, but we opened up with the Animals, but what song did I really want to play, Craig?
How about I Fought the Law and the Law Won? I fought the law
and the law won.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I wanted to play, again, I don't know where this correlates to Judge Van Alsen, the staff. Hank Williams Jr., Long Gone Lonesome Blues.
Wow, the music of this show is just taking a left turn.
Come on, I was listening to Willie's Roadhouse last week, driving, and I was listening to Hank Williams Jr. They had a whole special on him, and Long Gone Lonesome Blues came on. It's like, we don't have to play it, but that's what I would definitely dedicate to the judge and her staff.
Oh no. We've played it.
We're going to play it?
We've played it.
Let's play it.
It's already on. Yes.
This is out to the judge and her staff and Deputy Longstreet. There you go.
There we go.
Well, I went down to the river to watch the fish swim by. Yeah, when I got down the river, I was so lonesome I wanted to cry. I wanted to die, Lord. So I jumped in the river. The doggone Alabama River was dry. I had me a woman. She couldn't be true. She made me for my money, and she sure made me blue. A man needs a woman he can lean on. My leaning post is done left lightning and long gone.
Hank Williams Jr. Oh,
no correlation.
None whatsoever.
Craig, I know, Attorney Mike Nichols just texted me and said, hey, is it too late to join you guys on the show? I got something to talk about. I said, I don't know, let me talk to Craig. But
yeah.
But what about my run-in with a mountain lion last week?
No kidding. We've got to take a break. This is a good tease. This is what they call in the business a tease. That's a good tease for segment 2.
Is it though?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We got to take a break, but when we come back, we'll not only hear the story, but we'll hear the mountain lion's response.
Oh, boy.
That was perfect.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine, people tell me there ain't no use in trying. Now, my girl, you're so young and pretty, and one thing I know is true: you'll be dead before your time is due. I know. Watch my daddy in bed and crying. Watch his hand been turning gray. He's been working and slaving his life away. Oh yes, I know. He's been working so hard. Oh, I've been working too, baby. Every night and day. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it, destroying it and shredding the gnar, Craig Russell, the muscle, the hustle, and folks. With the Animals, we gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do. We gotta get out of this place.
All right.
Girl, there's a better place. Or is it life? Better life for me and you.
I don't. Sure.
There you go.
Sounds good.
How you doing, Craig?
I'm doing fan-flipping-tastic. I had an interesting week. I had a colonoscopy this week. Ooh.
I mean, this is a family show. Do you really want to talk about that?
That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to say that, and everything came out good. So that's all I'm going to say.
No pun intended, right?
None whatsoever.
Yeah, one of my closest friends, I grew up with him, Dr. Bradley Warren.
Okay.
Is a leading gastrologist out of Metro Detroit.
All right.
And look, at our age, 102,
yep.
I recommend everyone out there, when it comes time for you at that age to get a colonoscopy, make sure you do it. It's really important, Craig. I mean, we're a law show, but we're going to have Dr. Warren on the show. He does such a great job. Dr. Warren, Dr. Elbert, Dr. Pad. Dr. Warren, one of the best at what he does. So there's a recommendation. Look him up. Farmington Hills, Novi, Dr. Bradley Warren.
Well, he'll
take really good care of you.
Here's something to know.
And he's a great guy. He's one of my closest friends.
But, we're guys, and we do a lot of guy talk on this show. And colon cancer is the third leading cause of death by cancer in men in this country. So
it's really important.
It is important. Very important. But I have
a lot of friends that say, I've been to the doctor in years and decades. And, I have some really close friends that have not been to the doctor in a long time, and they're still young men. They have families. They have grandchildren.
Yeah,
and they have children. Bad. It's just... Those kids need you. Your family needs you. Your loved ones love you. Go get it done.
Yep.
But, hey, Craig, let's deviate for a minute.
Please.
We're going to talk some law, but, all right, last weekend? Or the week? Yeah, last weekend.
Last weekend. Yep, last weekend.
Last weekend, I'm above the bridge in God's country, as I am at least 50% of the time.
Okay.
And I'm way out. I'm up near Luce County, Luce and Chippewa County, way in the back country. I'm at camp. And I'm by myself. I'm way off the grid, and I'm camping. And Craig, what happened?
You had was it a mountain lion or a cougar?
I think it was a mountain lion. Here's why.
Came up to the house. Came up to the cabin.
About 10 p.m. Saturday. This is a week. This is being heard on Sunday, depending on when you're listening to the radio, the podcast version. 10 a.m. I get woken up by a sound that I just could not place. As much as I've been in the woods in North America, up in Canada, Ontario, Calgary, even all over, Michigan, a little out to some of the western states, I've heard a lot of different animals. I've heard young animals. I've heard birds and squirrels and
bears.
Bears. Fishers and all kinds of different animals. And I could not place this sound, this noise. I had never heard anything like it before. My first thought was, okay, maybe somebody who's trapping. A lot of trappers up there. Maybe there was a distressed animal. I wasn't sure. It went on for an hour. It was far away, and then because I was in a valley, and it kept getting closer and closer. And eventually, if you listen to what we're going to play here in a moment, it was right on me. I thought, is it a beaver? Is it something in the water? Is it a bird? Never heard this before. Is it an animal, a stray dog that is lost? I could not make out the sound, folks. I took out my phone and I started recording it. And at this time, I'm out there, I'm exercising my, Second Amendment right. I had 223s with me, Mr. Smith & Wesson. I'm not scared. I don't get scared. I was creeped out. It was more
concerned,
No, I was creeped out thinking, I'm up here all the time in this area. I've seen on, trail cams that we have. I've seen wolf, black bear, pine martens, fishers, deer, coyotes, but I've never seen a mountain lion, and we know they're a cougar. I think in the UP they're cougars. Mountain lion, cougar, are they not the same thing?
No, I think a mountain lion's a little different than a cougar.
I took the recording. I sent it to a friend of mine the next morning. I don't have Wi-Fi where I was at. It's completely no electricity, no Wi-Fi. I'm just at a camp, rustic. But you want to listen to the recording? You want the audience to hear what I heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Here it is. See, now when you texted that to me earlier in the week, and I listened to it, that's the first thing I thought. It was like, oh my God, that's a mountain lion. But I don't know anything. But man, that is creepy. Creepy.
Yeah, I sent that to a friend of mine who then forwarded it to somebody in the DNR, Department of Natural Resources, for those that live outside the state of Michigan. They do a great job too, the DNR guys.
Yep.
That's my dog in the background there. That's not a mountain lion. And that's the first thing they said. They said that's a female in heat trying to attract a male. And they sent a video that I later obtained, and it was the exact same sound. Now, maybe it was a bobcat. I'm thinking it's a mountain lion.
And
or
I think
a cougar.
I think there are mountain lions in the UP. I don't think
a cougar.
Yeah.
Let me ask Jen. Jen, are there cougars or mountain lions in the UP? What's that? Yeah, the eastern part of the Upper Peninsula, folks. So, which is just south of Canada.
Right.
But I'm telling you, it creeped me out. And before I left the next day, I made sure that I have a couple extra trail cams. So I repositioned them. And so when I go back up there in another week or two, next weekend's Metallica. We're going to see Metallica at Ford Field.
Nice.
But the following weekend, I'm going to pull all the cameras, the video, and we'll let the audience know what we came up with.
It's amazing.
Creeped me out, though.
Amazing.
Creeped me out.
You don't have that connected to your phone to where you could just see it anytime you want.
What's that?
You have the cameras.
I'm not saying I do or don't because I don't want people to know.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I got cameras everywhere.
I know you do. Who doesn't?
Who doesn't, right?
Who doesn't?
Come on, Craig. But look.
But speaking of cameras, did a camera catch your complaint of the week this week? Probably.
My complaint of the week is, here's my complaint of the week. And you may have fallen into this, Craig, as part of my complaint of the millennia here.
Okay.
Something that drives me crazy is when somebody is talking to you and communicating with you, and you're either across the room, somewhere out of sight, and there's a lot of interference in between that person and you who's communicating to you, and you can't hear a word they're saying. And they get upset with you because you can't hear them. You follow what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
No, come on, do you? You understand what I'm getting at here?
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's like, hey, Craig, by the way, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, you're on the other side of the studio. There's music. There's all kinds of interfering noise. And there's no reason for me to be upset because you didn't hear what I was saying to you. The person delivering the communication, their expectations, they need to lower them. I was at my law firm a couple weeks ago, and one of my employees was trying to communicate something to me. But I was on the other side of the building, and I'm thinking, I said afterwards, I go, do you realize I didn't hear a word you just said? Do you realize how many feet I am away from you and all the people and noise that is between you and I when you're trying to communicate that to me? Anyway, I mean, it's just a pet peeve of mine. The pet peeve is the people who are communicating it to you. They need to realize that the person they're communicating, who's going to be the receiver, they're not going to get that message. They're too far away. There's too much interference.
You know what? I think you suckered me into that, Todd.
Why?
Because that was not the complaint I was expecting. I was expecting a different complaint that we had talked about before the show. I think you suckered me into that.
I didn't sucker you into anything.
I'm just kidding.
You're sitting right across from me. Not really.
No,
we're
not
actually
today.
two separate locations because I'm at Timber Ridge Resort in
That's right.
Traverse City, Michigan.
Yeah, I'm
Big
in the
shout out
studio,
on
so.
Major love to Gordo, who
Yes.
owns Timber Ridge, and the accommodations here are freaking fantastic, folks. Look up Timber Ridge Resort, year-round activities outdoor. The amenities are amazing, right on the edge of the Vasa trail system up here, which is,
Look,
hundreds of miles.
you go up north to get an up north experience, right?
This is it.
And that's where you go. That's Timber Ridge
That's where
gives you
we
the
go.
up north experience. You get the pine trees, you get the terrain, you get the outdoor adventure. Yeah, you're 20 minutes away from Traverse City and you're close to other things, and that's great. But if you want the outdoor up north Michigan experience, you go to Timber Ridge.
So here's another complaint. It's a complaint about the legal system. We are a law show.
True.
My complaint is this, and it's very, very clear and precise, is that you have men and women who work in positions of authority within the system. And they have expectations of those individuals who come before them, whether it's a judge or a magistrate or an administrative hearing officer or probation or a clerk. And I'm not being specific. I'm not identifying any court or any individual. I mean, in the back of my mind, I know who I'm referring to and what branch of the legal system I am referring to, but I still have to practice law, so I'm going to keep this very basic. My complaint is this, and here I can relate it this way. When I used to practice in Metro Detroit for 12 years, you had to be in court at 8:30. The client and the lawyer were required to be in court at 8:30. If you and your client were not there, the client could have a bench warrant issued for his or her arrest and forfeit bond because they failed to appear and check in on a timely manner. But then you would have the judge who he or she didn't even take the bench to 10:30 as it was. So that is what I'm referring to in a legal system. You have expectations placed upon the citizens who have to go through the system by the men and women who run the system, but those expectations should go both ways. If you expect my client, Craig, and myself to be there at a certain time, then you damn well better be there yourself.
Yeah.
Don't show up an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and then take the bench and expect that we were sitting there for 2 hours waiting for you. Judges in big cities are notorious at this. Now, a lot of the judges, back in the 90s when I first started practicing law in the big city, it was abusive. It was insane. When I moved to central northern Michigan, I can honestly say I've never come across one judge who ran their courtroom that way. But it's happened more in the big city. But I do know of some administrative hearing officers out there, or one or two, and I'm not being specific as to what area of law, and they have expectations of the lawyer and the individual before them, but they don't perform up to the standard of care that they're supposed to. Do you follow what I'm getting at, Craig?
Follow completely.
So my point is, if you're in a position of authority out there and you have expectations of the individuals coming before you, well, we have expectations of how we expect you to behave, how we expect you who work for us. I mean, elected officials, government officials work for us, the citizens. We have our own expectations. So going back to the story when I was a young attorney, people have to get to work. They got kids, they got jobs. And if they have to be there at 8:30, then, the person they're about to appear before should also have to be there at the same time.
Now, look, there's always going to be cases of flat tire or traffic or whatever, and you might be a few minutes late, but there should be, again, like you said, those people serve us. We pay their salaries. Taxpayers pay the salaries of those elected officials, and they should remember the customer service goes both ways, that they're there to serve the people, and they should be able to get there in a timely manner if you expect us to get there in a timely manner as well.
Yeah, about 12 years ago, Little John and I, true story.
Hey!
True story. Little John and I appeared before a group of, I'll just say, some were elected officials, others were just county employees. And I stood up and made it very clear to each and every one of them in that room and I was not happy. There was a reason why Little John and I were there. And I was there to prove a point and advocate on behalf of somebody for a specific issue. I stood up and said, listen, we are taxpayers. You are employees for the county. You work for us, and don't you ever forget it.
Yeah,
and then Little John, I literally did that.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
We got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, but surprise law coming up next.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine, people tell me there ain't no use in trying. Now my girl Girl, you're so young and pretty. And one thing I know is true. You'll be dead before your time is due. I know. Watch my daddy in bed and crying. Watch his hand been turning gray. He's been working and slaving his life away. Oh yes, I know. He's been working so hard. Mom been working too, baby. Every night and day. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show on remote location this week from Timber Ridge Resort in Kalkaska. Todd and Craig.
Traverse City.
Well,
Traverse
Traverse
City.
City. Yeah, Traverse City. More Traverse City. Todd and Craig and Todd and Craig and Todd and Craig and the animals.
Yeah,
And
the animals.
And the animals. So we are talking about complaints. You had a couple of them. I thought you had a third one you wanted to talk about. What was that?
Well, I mean, my first complaint was people talking to you, and expecting you to understand what they're saying when there's so much noise in between you and the person trying to give you the message.
Right.
And then they get upset with you because you're saying, "What did you just say?" And they say, "What? You didn't hear me?" No, I didn't just hear you. Can't you hear all these people talking, or I'm halfway across the room? How am I supposed to hear you? And the other complaint was in the legal system, or any type of system depending on which state you live in, where you have to appear before a state employee, whether it's in a legal system or otherwise, expectations should be equal. That however you as the individual who is appearing at that matter, whatever it is, the expectation should go both ways. This is what we expect of you, and this
Agreed.
But we also have expectations. And then the third complaint is we went through a fast food drive-through last week, pulled off a little too fast, and there were no napkins in the bag. So that's more Jen's complaint. But
That's a good complaint, because not only between that or no straws. Straws are worse. You can pretty much live without napkins, because who doesn't have napkins in their glove compartment? But straws are hard to live without, and when they get your order wrong. That's the one I hate the worst. Especially if you order nothing that is super complicated.
Right. But hey, I thought we'd get little John on the show and see
We've
if we
been talking about this for weeks.
Give him a call and see if we can get little John on the show.
All right.
This is our crack pot production team here. You do a better impression of Little John than he does, by the way.
Hey!
Yeah. See if I can get him on the show here. Oh, come on, Little John.
Come on, Little John.
Come on.
Don't do this to us.
Don't do this to us. What is today? Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Wonder what
Well,
he's doing.
Sunday if you're listening on the radio, but
Yeah.
pre-recording it on Thursday.
At the tone, please record.
Come
He wasn't even on his own message? Little John.
No, you should leave his message on his voicemail.
There we go. Here we go. Here. I'm going to leave here's the message I would, if it was me doing Little John, leaving the outgoing message.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Little John. I'm not available to take a call right now, but I will talk to a brother from another mother. So leave your message at the beep.
So, nice. So here is some pushback based on our previous conversation regarding judges. You have to be, you and your client have to be there at 8:30. If not, there's going to be a warrant, bond's going to be forfeited, et cetera, et cetera. In fairness to some of the judges out there and some of the courts, when a pretrial takes place, again, it's a pre-trial. It's a pre means before something, post is after something. A pretrial, folks, is when it's after the arraignment, when the attorney and the client appear in court, and the attorney typically will go into a room, meet with the prosecutor, and try to resolve the matter. Judges are not going to sit there on the bench waiting for the prosecutor to meet with 20 or 30 people. The judge is going to wait till there are some files that can, be attended to in the courtroom. So typically the prosecutor will do 3 or 4 pretrials, or maybe some pleas that are going to take place on that day. The prosecutor will take those to the clerk. The clerk will take those to the back to the judge's clerk. Now the judge is ready to take the bench and move those 4 cases through the docket. So there are times and situations where you'll show up in court and you're not going to go in front of the judge at all. But I'm talking from experience. When I worked in Metro Detroit for 12 years, when I got out of law school in 92, I would say half of the judges in the district and circuit courts, and I don't care if I get blowback. I've been doing this for 30 years. And if some judge or somebody wants to challenge me to this fact, they don't know what they're talking about. Danny Bain will tell you this. We used to go to the same courts together in a big city. I'm talking the suburbs also. There are judges in some of the wealthiest suburbs in Metro Detroit. One of them lost her job. I'm not going to mention her name. One of the local news stations found her at the mall shopping while a jury was waiting for her back in her court.
Oh, God, that's terrible.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on.
So back to equal expectations. And as a lawyer, I know what the expectations are. But again, when I moved to central northern Michigan, never had any issues whatsoever with this. And as I said, I was in front of the Honorable Judge Audrey Van Alst last week. One of my favorite judges, does such a great job, as does her staff. Everybody over there is just fantastic in Wexford County.
Well,
Cadillac's a really cool place, by the way.
Yeah, Cadillac's a cool town. It is, with a lake right there and everything. You were talking
they got
about
a couple lakes.
Yeah, you were talking about
and creeks.
And creeks.
Yeah.
Do you say creek or crick?
I'm a city guy. I say creek.
You say creek. There you go.
I say creek.
My grandpappy used to say crick. Battle creek. But you were saying.
What did you want to add?
Well, you were saying.
I'm talking about
Judge Van Alstad in Cadillac there. You were talking earlier about how she's from the community, she knows the personality of the community, and on top of that, those are the kind of judges that aren't going to keep you waiting. Those are the kind of judges that are going to run their court like they should. They're going to be on time. They're going to expect you to be on time, but they're going to be on time as well. And she knows the temperature of the community. She can kind of tell about people in the community and what needs to be. You need to be a little harder on, and one can be a little more.
She grew up there. Her kids grew up there.
Yeah.
She eats in the community. Her staff, like Selena, Danielle, great job. They're from the community. Deputy Longstreet, he's from Hollywood. That's a great name, Longstreet. But any judge, like Judge Dan Bain, Josh Farrell, I can go on and on and on about the judges who come from the community and know the personality of the individuals in the community.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They know
it's so important.
Yeah, it really is.
And a lot of people feel embarrassed to go before. Well, here's another thing. A lot of people, like I've represented dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of individuals over the years who are from the same community as the judge or magistrate.
Sure.
And they're embarrassed. Like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no, my son plays Little League with the judge's son, and now I got caught doing this and I have to appear before the judge. Well, I could tell you this. Judges and magistrates are used to seeing people they know.
Sure.
And the person, and look, I'd feel the same way. It's humiliating. When you get caught, and you wouldn't get caught, you're innocent until proven guilty, not always, but when it's alleged that you did something wrong, there's so much anxiety, there's so much nervousness that goes along with having to appear in court, let alone having to appear before a magistrate or judge that you're friends with, or your family is friends with.
Or you at least are acquaintances with, or no.
Acquaintances. But the judges are used to it. Like as a lawyer, like if somebody calls my office, I was so embarrassed to call you because this is what I did. I don't judge them. Like I'm like a doctor. I hear this all the time. I don't represent, I don't do certain type of cases. I don't represent any, I only do drunk driving, license restoration, and I turn away all the rest. I'm not going to represent
those are people that can be embarrassed.
Kind of cases where there's kids involved.
Yeah, but those are still people that can be embarrassed.
People are getting hurt. I'm not going to do that. What's that?
Those are still people that can be embarrassed being in front of a judge or something. I'm ashamed. I got caught drinking and driving, and now I have to be in front of a judge. Let me ask you a question, though. As being someone who's never been in front of a judge before, knock on wood, thank goodness.
You?
Yeah, me. I've never been in front of a judge. But you're in front of them all the time. I mean, that's your job.
Yeah, but when I was younger, I'm full disclosure, I did things I shouldn't have, and I had to go to court in Royal Oak.
Well, still.
So there you go.
So let me ask you this, because
later on, when I practiced law, I had to go back. I was in front of that same judge. So
right, but you've been in front of judges all your life,
my whole
mostly
life.
Because mostly for your job, for what you do.
Right, exactly. 30
judges,
years.
most people think they're going to be judged by what they do. And even though a judge is a judge, most judges don't judge people like that. They adjudicate the law, but they don't judge you for doing something wrong, correct? They don't because they say the only person can really judge you is God.
Mean, yes and no. Again, just because you have a title doesn't mean anything. It all comes down to what kind of person you are.
Right.
Who's the person behind the robe? Judges are human. They have emotions. They may not judge you because, a judge is supposed to interpret the law and run a courtroom according to how the law is before them. A jury is a fact finder, unless you have a bench trial, and then the judge is the fact finder and, discuss. Usually if there's an issue of law, a lawyer files a motion, like we've talked in prior shows, a motion to suppress, summary disposition, summary judgment. You file a motion to argue a legal point before you even get to trial. So you resolve all those legal issues before you get to trial, and to help you make a determination if there's even going to be a trial. And Mike Nichols would tell you that.
Yeah.
So,
well,
but a lot of judges. I mean, look, I've seen judges who make decisions and rulings on basic things that are so out in left field, it makes no sense to me. But then if you look at who the judge is and who they are as a person, it makes sense to me.
Okay.
You get what I'm getting at there?
No, I
it comes down. Look, people vote for judges often because of the last name. They like the last name. Back in Oakland County, if you had a sign that was green and you campaigned as a judge, or you had a certain last name, you were more apt to get votes than the next judge. People don't even know anything about people they vote for.
Sure.
Put it that way. They have no idea.
No.
I know some judges, and I'll just say this right now. I've been a lawyer 30 years. I keep saying that, so I'm not afraid to say this. I know, and again, not any of the judges I practiced before, so if any of the judges are listening, let me make that clear. I know some judges in this state that should not be judges. It blows my mind that this person or these individuals sit on the bench and make decisions that affect people's lives. But they get elected because they're in a town where there's no other lawyers that will run against them, or they've been in that town for years and they're the judge. Because when somebody's a judge and they're an incumbent, it's very rare in the legal system that somebody runs against that judge and removes them. You see?
Yep.
So you're stuck with that person. It's horrible. I think there should be term limits I feel personally as a citizen, there should be term limits on the Supreme Court,
for
every single branch, all three branches of government on state and federal level, there should be term limits. And people will say, well, you need people who are experienced. You're better off having them represent you. Not a chance. I know so many good men and women who are hardworking men and women, like Biker Bob, they gravel train guys, iron workers, directional drillers, women who are nurses, moms, teachers. I would like to see some of these people get a term in office who represent the interests of the people, not these lifelong people who are judges and politicians. And I'm sorry, a lot of my friends who are judges, they're fantastic. Some of these judges, I would never want to see them replaced, but I still believe in term limits for everybody.
Agreed. No, I totally
there's
agree.
no way. There's no way.
Yeah, it'll never happen. But
there's no way.
Hey, we got to take one last break on the Todd 11
so.
Law
I
Show.
wish there was, though, especially at the federal level. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yep. We got to take a break on the Todd 11 Law Show, but we'll be right back.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine, people tell me there ain't no use in trying. Now, my girl, you're so young and pretty, and one thing I know is true: you'll be dead before your time is due. I know. Watch my daddy in bed and crying. Watch his hair been turning gray. He's been working and slaving his life away. Oh yes, I know. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, turning it and burning it. And Craig just coming out full throttle, being honest about the system and how it works.
Yeah.
All you can ask is somebody to tell you the truth. Don't BS. This is how it works and this is how it is. Look, I'm not a negative guy. I'm not a pessimist. I'm very enthusiastic. I have so many good friends who are judges and prosecutors and magistrates and administrative hearing officers and probation officers and directors of sobriety and drug courts and veteran court and Department of Correction probation officers. They do such a great job, even the men and women behind the counters. But if you take the tens of thousands of people who work in the system, there's going to be a handful or two of people who shouldn't be working in the system. And unfortunately, it's like that probably in every single state and every single country. And the only thing you can do is vote.
Yep.
Vote, vote, vote. But sometimes the problem is people get appointed. Yep. And they get these state jobs, and it doesn't matter. They just cannot be removed from these state jobs across the board. And that's where the public gets harmed, because you have these individuals who they're so miserable, they make everybody else's life miserable.
Yeah, and they're basically
and it affects everybody's lives, the way we live and how we
Yep.
act. Again, is it rampant? Meaning, do I think it's so abusive, at least in Michigan across the board? No. It used to be really bad in the 90s. This is 2023. So I'm going way back in time. Things have changed. Judges have changed. There's still probably here and there, not good things here and there. But overall, I'm referring folks back to the 90s when I first started practicing law, when I saw all this take place. So, but I got no complaints about anyone I practice in front of. I mean, it's great to practice in central, northern, upper Michigan as a lawyer.
I'm going to throw out an unpopular opinion, and we could do a whole show probably on
it's
this.
like a Field of Dreams moment. You're going to throw something to me because I'm trying to, week in and week out, I'm trying to have a Field of Dreams moment with you, Craig.
I understand that, but you're too far away.
You know what that is.
I can't throw it to you. Yeah, I do know what it is, but I can't throw anything
Timber
to you.
Ridge Resort.
You're too far away.
Yeah.
But I'm going to throw this out.
Okay.
I bet you, because, you've noticed this more with just about every facet of life, that customer service is more important. Why? Because everyone's got social media and the internet, and you can start bad-mouthing people. If they don't do their jobs right, everybody finds out about it. Back in the day, the only way, if you got in front of a bad judge or you had a bad experience in a courtroom, the only way you'd find out about it is if that person told a bunch of people. Well, what's the easiest way to tell the biggest amount of people you can? Social media. And all of a sudden, I think these people kind of get concerned, hey, I'm going to get judged a lot harsher by the internet because people are going to talk about it. And so I think that causes any kind of business, whether it's government or a business run by a person or whatever experience, I think that ends up causing those experiences and those people to do better. So just a thought.
The only thing I ask of people in the legal system who have a say in regards to how people's lives are going to end up is, don't bring emotions to your job. If you're a judge or magistrate or a probation officer or Department of Corrections, maybe you had a bad day, you got in a fight with your husband or wife, and now you're coming to the office. Don't take it out on my clients. I always tell people, leave emotions out of it. You have your game face on, do your job, because nothing good comes out of being emotional. The one thing you can never take back is the spoken word.
Agreed.
But I can tell the people who I've practiced before if they're having a bad day. If you go before an individual who's a prosecutor or a judge, maybe their tie isn't on straight, or the woman, the hair is a little out of whack, or the earrings aren't right. If they're having a bad day, I'm taking a step back and get my client the heck out of there. I'm not, because again, all these people are human, and unfortunately, and for the most part, I'm not singling out anybody. I'm just saying in general, I pay attention to a lot of things on a daily basis about human nature that could affect my clients in a negative way. And so, it's really important to understand the personality and the character and the makeup of whatever you're doing in life, whatever business you're in, of the people that you're dealing with, especially my job.
And that, my friend,
I'm kind of being surface about what I'm saying, but I'm trying to prove a point. I don't know if it's coming through.
No, it makes perfect sense because I'm going to say that is 30 years experience talking right there. That's why you want a Todd L. Levitt representing you to know that kind of stuff. Because somebody who
I've
just
always
got
been
out of
like
law
that,
school.
though.
Yeah, but somebody who just gets out of law school or has only been in the business for a few years might not understand that. You get that completely. That's why you are as good as you are.
You got to pay attention to human nature and how people act and how they behave. Yep. If somebody's having a bad day and you have a client, you better take that client and get the heck out of there so that, because often you'll see somebody, years ago you'd see a judge on the bench who was all peed off at somebody. Yeah, I don't want to be the next one called up there.
That's right.
I really don't, because it could be bad for my client, and it shouldn't be. It shouldn't. My point is, it shouldn't have to be.
It shouldn't, but it is.
Never,
because they're human beings. Because we're all human beings.
I should be invited to the next judicial conference and give a speech to all the judges out there and tell them exactly, as a defense attorney and a citizen, what our expectations are. There's my offer to whoever runs that.
There you go. Hey, you know what else?
There you go.
You got to listen to me too, unfortunately, because the show's over.
Craig, hey, thanks to Gordon and Miranda and Ella for the accommodations here at Timber Ridge Resort.
Yes.
Pre-recording show here. Got the Iceman coming up Saturday. Cal Casca, the Traverse City. Craig, we're not here for a long time. We're here to shred the gnar and have a good time at the Iceman Coming 2023. We'll see you next week, folks.
If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. Somewhere, baby. Somehow I know it, baby. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Clark Modular Homes of Mount Pleasant, Rusty Gold Antiques in Everett, Chad Malley Well Drilling of Rosebush, Clear Vision Windows, Siding and Roofing of Midland, and attorney Todd L. Levitt.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.